So sorry, welcome to second class, basically. So like I said, you can only join this class until you finish the session. So you're asking something. So like I tell people, don't have too many range, don't confuse yourself. You can just basically be working with 2, 3, 4 shades or max 5. You want to get the darker and the lighter version, you understand, of what you'll be working with. Because I noticed that a lot of people used to have the full set, okay, just like the plugin I ran the other time that was giving me, I don't know, it was giving me a lot. So it was giving me, I don't know, if maybe 6 or 7. Let me try and run that again. Okay, so it gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's too much. You understand? And funny thing is, you can delete some of these things that, oh, I don't want this. I just want to work with from this to this. Okay, from 50 to 900. You understand? And you can, this is going to actually, I can delete all this. This is going to help me to, make some necessary decisions. You understand? So I can just say, okay, this one should be dark, and maybe this one should be, so this is my color palette. So let's say I want to use 300. Okay, 300 is actually ugly. Okay, let me just go with this. And I want to say the body should be also this. Okay, for the background, I want to work with this. So yeah, this makes sense. Okay, if you want to consider all the applications. So now I'm just using 900. You can see the border to is 900. It's only the background that is 50. Okay, and if I pick this design that I've done, you notice my selection buttons or my selection colors is just 90 and 900. I want to work with. Understand? Most likely this is going to be what I'll be using throughout the project. Very simple. Don't overcomplicate things. You can delete some shades that you don't need some shades. And in my own little experience, like what I usually do is that I actually design my own, because obviously you're a designer, so you can pick some things yourself. You can decide to, okay, let me just go with this numbers of shade. Okay, there's a lot of calculations around how these shades have been brought up. Okay, but there are some that they are specific. For example, in EOTA, right, we have specific stuff. So you can say I have the one for the brand, I have the one for illustrations, I have the one for the text feed, which is in black, I have the whites, I have the social media. If you're on my social media, you'll be seeing that I use some of these colors differently. So if you go to my designs now, you notice that some of these colors are from this system. You understand? I also have the one for gradients that I have designed. You can see the white, the green, the red. You understand? So you have different clusters that you can build for yourself, that you don't really have to rely on some of the system. And you can see there's not too many shades going on here. You understand? There's not so many shades, because obviously there are some shades I can tweak myself. So if you look at this particular UI graphics I did, this is not systemized. And that's because of, it's actually from this, and I broke it down and I looked for it myself. So I just go to this direction, and yeah, it's enough. That's all. And when I'm going to the next one, I'll just roll over this to get this particular shade, but in different color. So as a designer, I don't entirely have to be depending on system, but you need to create it for consistency. And that's why if you look at my Instagram page, you notice that there's a lot of consistency around the color. I'm not using so many hot color, but because of our brand style, okay, we embrace a lot of green, and also we also embrace a lot of colors. We want to make our page as colorful as possible. So there's a bit of consistency around it. Okay. So I hope I answered your question. Anybody have any other question? Please, you can lower your hand if I've answered. Any other person? Okay. All right. So let's okay. Whitney, please unmute yourself. Oh, okay. You're not asking anything. All right. So that's that on questions. Okay, Emmanuel.
Okay, good evening, Mosky.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, before you move to typography, I think that's what you want to move to. Before you went to colors.co, you wanted to actually show us how to do it manually before you now
Yes,
went over to
I've done that.
colors.co.
Yeah, I've
You've
done
done
that.
that?
So, okay, manually
Yeah,
is
generating the colors
saving,
manually.
and what I mean is saving or adding that system to Figma. You understand? That's the naming, that's the how to name it so that it will be systemized. So you click on this style, click on plus, and you can give it a main color. Then you can put slash, the exact one. So you can call this 100. Okay, so that it's
Okay.
going to be recorded. Yeah, this is how so that when you want to make use of it, you can click here and you can pick on this. That's what I mean by showing you how to do it. There is a plugin that I've talked about. That's the meta color that will do this for you automatically. You don't have to be doing all the naming and all those things. That's the automatic one.
Oh,
You understand?
okay, no problem. Yeah, I get. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other person wants to have a question? Anybody else? Blessing.
All right, good evening.
Yeah, good.
So my question is this: if you what if you have like a different project that require you having different colors and typeface or whatever? So would it mean you have to create another design system for that project, or how do you manage your design system for like different projects for like different brands?
So design systems are created per project. That's one. So if I or per product, let me call it that way, per product, because there could be many products under a project. So I have an app, and that app has admin, the app has website, it has whatever. Create one design system for it. And if the brand guide, okay, has about probably 3 main colors. Some of them have primary, secondary, and maybe tertiary. Okay, that means you have to create primary, secondary. Then there's going to probably be another color. Maybe it's purple. Maybe it's part of their brand guide. Okay, you have to create the purple version of this. Then you create the error states. Okay, that's obviously the reds and the greens and the yellows, all those ones, and the blues. Okay, we have that. And then you're also going to create for the gray version. Okay, so let me just show you what I mean by all this, so that we don't long the conversation. So let me go back to this. So I'm going to, so there's this Figma link I used to give everyone. Probably I'm going to drop it here also for free of charge. And everybody see it. If you can see it, you can just click on, just type yes, so I can move on. All right, so yeah, I've given some of you access to it. So yeah, this is a proper documentation. So we have the primary and the second, just exactly almost like our color, right? Then we have the state color, okay, which is the red, the blues, warning, error, success, information. Then we have the text color, which is usually the black colors, all the blacks. And then we have the gray colors, you understand, the shades. Okay, now this project has actually documented some of these things. You can see this person is not using that type of long shade. All you just had to do was just to pick the primary color and it's going to work with it. You understand? So now if let's say I want to reuse this app, I want to reuse this, all I just have to do is to go to this edit style, okay, and I'll put my own color there. Okay, I'm going to put it here, okay, and I'm going to go here, and let's say my secondary color is red. Or let's say this is color, and this is how I'm going to reuse it. The text, if the text they've been using inter, if I want to change everything here, I can just go to maybe I want to use legs end. Okay, everything basically will start changing, and this is how you can reuse a design system. At that point, you don't have to be doing things from scratch. I told you guys last week, one of the ways to master product design is that you are fast. And so sometimes you don't have to be doing these things from scratch. You can go to the Figma community, copy, duplicate, and you can start making some of these edits. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So yeah, so that is that on that, and you can have this and start making most of it. And yeah, other ones also. Let me give this out also. We copy it, paste. So people do this and they publish it on Figma community. I also plan to publish a zone just especially for the students to have access to it. And yeah, maybe I'm going to do that. But for now, I'm still working on it. It's going to take me a long while to do a very beautiful, complete job. So this is where we are going to the next one, where we'll be talking about some other component, but this is their own color scheme. You can see this is also very random. Okay, they dealt with shades here. So vertical is a shade that's been used across board. So I think this is their gray, this is their error. I don't know, maybe this is another red. I'm sure this is their error. This is their orange, their yellow. I think this basically just trying to show the usage of primary and secondary color and other type of color. So your colors can have different type of scheme, and your ability to make use of them is what is most important. You can see the color system is not included. You can see it's not here. So you can pick if this was saved, for example, let's say this version of red was saved as error. So let me just add this and say error. So I can just go over to this. I'm going to change the color. So error. So I can see the color will have changed, and I can say everything inside here should be white. And this is how I'm going to start making shades of reusable user components that I found on, Figma communities and all, or else build your own stuff from ground. So I'm ready to go for the next class, for the next text feed. Does anybody still have any other question to ask concerning this? Any other person? Okay, Lajide.
So my question is about using these colors for both. With only this primary color, we can make different kinds of button. So I want to ask you, how do you mix the primary, secondary, and even the tertiary colors to make buttons? Because the brand color, the primary color, which is the main color, that is the one that I know we have lots of button, but you can also use that same color to make different kinds of button. So how do you mix these colors in making buttons?
Okay, thank you for the question. We'll get there. I basically plan to use this color system that we have saved to create the text feeds, the buttons, and the alert. Okay, we've done some sort of alert already, so let's just go to the text feed. All right, so that's that for that. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about the text feed. Text feed is a little bit very technical because you have to start using what they call auto layout. I taught extensively on auto layouts on my YouTube channel. You can check Ilta And I'll probably drop a link on our open community where you can learn, maybe you can learn in this night. But text is a very, very interesting one. So this is how I start. A lot of people start like this, start creating text feed. I don't do that. So the first thing I do is to start with the text, right? So what makes up my text feed? First of all, I need a title. Then I need a placeholder. And I need a state. So those are the three things that makes up my text feed. So I'm going to make it smaller. So yeah, my title will most likely be maybe 14. Don't forget, the same way you saved your colors, you can also save your text that way. So you can start with text, and I don't know, just give it a name so we don't waste our time. So I put okay, this doesn't look regular. This is bold. I'm gonna change this to bold. So for the placeholder, I'm going to make it, yeah, kind of this. For the states, I'm going to be using like 10. All right, so for this, sorry, let me put off something. All right. Okay, so for the placeholder, I'll be making use of, so obviously I must have set the gray version of this, right? So I'll be using, let's say this, and I'm going to auto layout this first of all. And I'm also going to auto layout all this. So these three, I'll make auto layout. So auto layout is Shift A. So, or you can just right click and you see hard auto layout somewhere around here. Okay, this is removed. So let me remove it and let me add. So you're going to see auto layout. You can just add it. The next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill the container, and let me start working on the padding. So for this, I don't need any padding. I'll put this at 0, and I'll also put this at 0. For the placeholder, I'm going to be using maybe like 8, you know. And for the states, I also don't need anything yet. So, okay, so you might not see anything from what I'm doing. So I'm going to put some white background under the placeholder. So the text field is going to be looking like this. It will be awkward. So let me see if I can reduce this. For this, let me save this as red. And for this, I'm going to be doing smart. Okay, so let's assume this is my button, and I can just add maybe 4 at the edge. And for the spacing, I can make it like also maybe like 4. So I'm using the spacing of 4 and 8, something like that. I don't know this. Let me work with this one. I can just use, yeah, 10 is okay. For the placeholder, 16 looks a little bit weird. So let me adjust this to 14. And for this one, for title, I'm going to adjust this to maybe 12 also. So yeah, so I have this as my main component, as my original text feed. This is what my text feed is going to be looking like, right? And the next thing basically that you can do is that your placeholder, sometimes we need an icon beside it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to fill the layer. I'm going to run some icons. Just put something, anyone. So when you are bringing in your icon, like I use Iconify, bring it as a component. You understand? So I'll tell you the reason why you need to do that. It's going to also help your design system. So I'm going to be using, let's say, 16 as the size. Okay. Let me change this one. So I'll move this inside here. And this is going to be my icon, right? Any random icon that I use is going to look like this. So let's start working. So this one that is inside here is going to be a component. And this whole thing is also going to be a component. Now, obviously, the Figma is going to separate these two because they are components and they don't, you cannot nest two components inside. They are obviously going to nest two instances. So I have this, I'm going to call this my natural text feed, ordinary one. Okay, so I'm going to do the states of what we have. So number one, I'm going to make a version of this by clicking add variant. Okay, that's like another version of it. And for this variant, I'm going to be adding stroke. So I'll be working with let me use my middle color, and the inside is going to be the deep one. So I'm going to call this. Okay, so now I have another state inside there. You can say I can easily switch between the primary and the secondary, or sorry, the two variants inside this one. So I'm going to call this one the default state, and this one I'm going to call it the active state. Okay, I'll make another variant, and I'm going to call this the inactive state. So for the inactive state, obviously, okay, you know, let me just make another shade. Let me add this. So gray. So for the inactive states, I'm going to turn everything here to gray, if possible. Okay, so this one is inactive. Then possibly I'm going to make another one called, okay, the model has finished typing, or the user has finished typing. So I'm going to call this field. So let's assume I've finished typing. I'm going to call this one field. So now I have three states. Okay, sorry, I have four states. The default states, the active states. Okay, for the default state, let me just use, okay, let's leave it like this. Default state, inactive state, and field state. So between this one, I can easily switch anyone I want. Now, another thing you can do is that you pick all the icons there and you make a layer boolean property, and you can say icons. So you can say you want it to be true. So from here, I can say I don't want icons, or I want icons. So that's on that. Now, this is where the main work is. You know, you've done this one. Now, this is the main one. So for this one, you can choose these two, these states, and say states. Do I want to be showing it sometimes? Yes. I don't want to be showing it sometimes also. I can say I don't want to show it. For the title, I can also create a Boolean effect that says I don't want the title. And another thing you can do is that you can say anytime I tap on the inactive state or the default state, it should change to active. You understand? You can make that design system somewhere. You understand? So now that I have this, I can now start creating different variants of, I don't even need to create different variants. So let's say this is going to be my official text feed. So let me just call it now, the reason why I'm doing this two version, which is this one, And this one is because in future we'll be having different versions of this. Okay, maybe when I'm designing the project, when I'm expanding on the project. But a lot of designers actually do this thing that I'm just doing. I'm showing you guys because of, I would say that I created this one for myself out of my experience, because I don't want to be having too many components. A lot of people have like so many components on their screen, and me, I just want to have just one component that I can use to run things. So let's say that one day I'm working and I have all this inside here. I can create active state, inactive state, prefix state, default state. I can decide to say I don't want the title or I don't want the state. Okay, I can decide to bring it all back. And from all these things, if you look at another person's component library, you'll be seeing about 8 or 10 versions of all these ones, or this actually. But that is not how I placed my own. I just made my own just one master component, and then we have sub components that are also master, something like that. So let me ask you guys a question. Do you understand all the drama I just did before we proceed to the next one?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, anybody anybody have any question? Because I know I extensively thought all the reasons why I'm doing all these things in my course, although but this is basically another way of you seeing how component works. You understand? This is another way of seeing how things work, that you don't have to create too many things for one reason. Okay, bullying effect is already doing a lot of stuff for us. Then the interactions, the micro interactions among some of these variants is cool. So I'm going to practically build an app, for example. So let's have an app here. Let's use an iPhone. So let's say I'm designing an iPhone. Okay, let me go and bring back my Ilta design system. Let me bring it back. So I want to design an error page. Not error, let's say a login. So I get started with this. Text say login. Okay. Let me break this. Let's use login. Please input your email and password to log into your dashboard. Okay, so I have this, right? Then I go to my assets. I don't think I need this. So I go to my assets and I bring in my text field. So I won't be bringing this one. I'll be bringing this one. I'll bring it here, right? So don't forget, I have done all the auto layouts. You can see it's very responsive. Nobody's going to fight me for that. And let me say I have a background. My background is okay. Let's use this as a background. I don't like this. Okay, so we have login. So for the title, you can also go back to your text field and say you want the title to be content variant. And you want the state also to be content variant. All right, so for the title on my app, I'm going to start saying for this one should be email. And this one should be, okay, so I don't need this button. the state. So I can just put it off. And for title, and this one will be password. I don't need the state for this one also. All right. Obviously, I'm going to have a button here. So let me just go and say continue. All right, so let's say this is our design. Okay, 12 or 16, basically. Now, by the time I play this prototype, now this thing is actually looking quite funny. Okay, so we have this. You can see that when I click inside, it will change to active state. So at that moment, I do not have to do 3 screens to make this active state possible. So I can also say for my active states, I want the content to also be content polling. So let's change this. Okay, let's click on this and say so let's say all right, so I fixed these two, and you can see in my active state, you can also go back to your design and say that anytime I click on this one should change. I can break this, okay? I say this one should change to this. So let me play that again. You can see the way it works now. And I don't have to do 2 or 3 screens or repeat 2 designs to make this possible. You can also do it this way, that you can say after I finish typing, scroll to field, shades. So you can see. So I can just go over to my design. I will change this to the one inside. I'm going to change it to a field, and I'm going to change the text here to Adewale Amala@gmail.com. So now that I have this saved, put it back to default. Okay, let me go and break that also. Now, if I decide to play this, come in, let me see, it shouldn't be. Okay, so let's see if that works. You can see all those interactions are in one component, and this is how you can basically toggle Okay, so for the password, I can just go over the password and I'll make this field version of it and put like asterisk and all that. Okay, I'll return this back to default. And when I'm basically presenting, I can just say your email, your password, and continue. And I did all these things in one artboard. You understand? I did not. So normally designers would do like 10 of these things just to show these 5 interactions, and it's not supposed to be like that. You understand? So before we continue, does anybody have any? Are you guys confused? Do you feel like this is a new thing that you have learned? Does it make sense in any way to you guys, or you want to share your opinion? Because you'll be joining the next class so that I can talk about buttons. All right, so let me see your hands. All right. Alajide, please ask your question.
All right. Thanks so much, Mosky. I mean, this make a lot of sense, like a lot of sense, right? So, but then it's something a bit new. So I'm gonna ask if these were covered in your product design class.
Everything is covered. Everything. And if it's not covered, you can ask during the live classes we used to have. It's covered actually. Don't worry. And apart from this, I've taught so much on components, a lot on my YouTube. I've done a lot of teachings on it. So yeah, you can just tweak the remaining. So you can watch everything. It's basically mastery. If you want to really master it. If I present this to some like on my presentation, people will see just 5 screen and I'll be doing a lot of things on it. Sure you get, so that's that on that. Next person.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Dami, Larry. Please, let's join the next one after you ask this question, please.
Actually, mine is not a question, but just to appreciate it because I watched some videos with respect to what one can do, but I think this has been one of the easiest method, which I really appreciate you for. So that mine is not a question, but a recommendation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Tosin.
Okay. This